Thank you so much for joining us today for the Canadian Business Insider Fireside Chat series. My name is Jason Maganoy, and I am the publisher of Canadian Business. So today we are with Ken Otto. He is the CEO of Redberry Restaurants, one of Canada's largest restaurant operators. And you'll recognize a lot of the brands. You recognize Burger King, Taco Bell, Jersey Mike's. Before Redberry, he worked with several iconic QSR and franchise restaurants, including Boston Pizza, Swiss Chalet, Harvey's, Montana's, and Eastside Mario's, which provided him with the unique insight into what it takes to prosper in the vast Canadian landscape. Ken holds a Bachelor of Commerce in Hotel and Food Administration from the University of Guelph. Ken, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. Looking for the next little chat here. Okay,
yes, it's funny because as I was describing those restaurants, it was like my childhood. You were just describing. There's like Swiss Chalet. I've had like milestones at Swiss Chalet, which is really funny. But obviously, so we're coming. So I'm going to kick off. We're coming off the pandemic, but one of the things I want to ask is just the lasting changes. So consumer behavior has changed radically just because of technology. How has your company been adapting to all of these different changes?
Yeah, everyone is very familiar with the concept of what the pandemic brought to Canadian industry at large, right? 20 years of change in about 20 days, about the ability to pivot, and so many industries, food service and our company included, were so brave and so courageous to do what they did. Our teams are on the front lines, and I think that's the biggest positive outcome for our company, and I think restaurants in general, is that we were all put to the test of how fast we needed to move to protect our businesses. You could be a small mom and pop to a national brand like Burger King, Taco Bell, or Jersey Mike's. We all had to move incredibly fast to keep up with the landscape that was changing like every single day. And our ability to communicate with our teammates ability to change habits every day. The rules changed every day. The supply chain changed every day. So at Redberry, we got really good at managing very, very fast change. And that stayed. Our ability to react to market conditions, which are changing equally rapidly, it seems, these days. We've had inflation challenges in building stores, people challenges. It's all happening fast. It's coming at us. And so we adapt, and the skills, the muscles that we trained over that time, we apply today. And so we're better, we're faster, we're smarter, we're more communicative, we're more connected. Yeah.
Wow. And that takes me to just the QSR landscape, because I saw this really great. It was a podcast with Bill Ackman on it, and he was talking about how he loves the restaurant business, and it's a systems business. And you're just describing, just because of the scale, systems, like having the ability to sort of just adapt, evolve, change your systems. So what has changed in the quick service restaurant landscape over the past few years, and what trends are you seeing that are going to be sort of shaping the future of the landscape?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a yin and yang. So I'll start, are almost two opposing forces. The good forces are people's propensity to eat out and seeking convenience. As people lead busier lives with families and friends and are more active than ever, people are seeking out QSR restaurants, all kinds of restaurants, to meet their needs of the day. I date myself, but back when we ate out, it was the thing, right? We all remember my mom and dad packing us in the car, and we would go to a restaurant, and you would tell your friends that you ate a dinner out, and that was a big deal. Now, between delivery and leading your busy day, people are eating out once, twice, 3, 4 times a day. I watch my kids and Uber drivers come by with desserts and things later in the night. So people rely on restaurants, and that's, in one way, that's a really interesting responsibility. So really pivoting from a luxury, once in a while idea, it's now what happens in everyone's life. So that has created tremendous opportunity, and Redberry is benefiting from that, right? From we have 160 Burger Kings. We're building a bunch more, a bunch of Taco Bells, building a bunch more. Super excited about bringing Jersey Mike's into Canada.
Yeah.
All that couldn't happen if people didn't want to eat out. So that's the good news, and we're seeing amazing entrants into the space. Lots of entrepreneurs, lots of franchisees, bringing really interesting food to the people. So that's really cool. The tougher side is that it's a really hard business, and it's gotten harder. Inflation, boy, we've certainly seen the grocery folks take it on the chin. And look, we have faced inflation, if not even more, from supply chains internationally. It's no one's fault. It's the world's evolving, and restaurateurs from coast to coast have had to adapt to inflation everywhere, from buying equipment to buying food to payroll. It's everywhere. It's the most rapid level of cost pressure that the industry has faced, I think, ever.
Wow.
And as consumers, right, are facing various pressures with interest rates and other inflation, you're trying to manage your P&L while really being restrained on passing on that price, but you've had to. So we've looked for efficiencies to do that. And from building pressures to dealing with cities and regulations to build restaurants, that's gotten a bit tougher too, all for the right reasons. Everyone wants to do the right thing. So it's really, really hard. And I think that's why it's harder, right? So you're on one hand celebrating the evolving taste buds of Canadians and building more restaurants, but it's also got harder. So it's an industry for the very brave to get into.
So I mean, everything you're describing there about just pressures, changing sort of like consumer habit. It was so funny when you described that story you just said about like going out to eat. That's like a core user experience. Like I have the same thing. Like I just have memories of my mom being like, "Hey, want to go here?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yes!" Like on the way home from school, it's like the greatest moment of my life. So my question is, during like I noticed that I wasn't engaging as much with QSR before the pandemic. During the pandemic, I was, and then now I engage because of the food delivery services. Like obviously, that has really changed distribution for QSR, and it's changed demands. Like they want it fast, they want it in a certain way too, delivered to their home. So, with the rise of food delivery services and that sort of changing core customer experience, how has your strategy evolved to basically meet the demands of both in-store and online customers?
Great question, Jason. And it's so important. It is a very important channel for our businesses at Jersey Mike's, Taco Bell, and Burger King, and for many restaurants. And it was a bit of a love-hate relationship in the beginning for lots of reasons. I mean, clearly there are costs associated with that service. It doesn't come for free. Some people might think that. But we've developed pricing strategies and promotional strategies to adapt to it. And I've been amazed at the resiliency of third-party delivery from Skip and DoorDash and Uber, and at Redberry and our brands, we're all in. But it's a skill, right? There's a marketing muscle that you need to build to be on that platform. As these organizations are seeking new revenue streams, as they should, it is really becoming a pay-to-play format. So you got to figure that part out. So no different than learning how to advertise on social media that companies learned in the past 20 years. We're now learning how to show up on the platforms. Now, the other one is operationally. It is very interesting, right? From our businesses, you used to serve your guests at the counter, at the drive-through window, and now you have 3 to 4 screens and printers printing other orders off, and that's hard when you're busy and you have a lineup of customers at the drive-through or the counter. you can't control another 100 people phoning for a Whopper on a Friday night. And so you've had to learn how to build your store to do that, teach your staff how to do that, understand all the metrics to be good at it. But at Redberry, we're all in, and I think restaurants have learned really well, and I think we're better for it. Right? It's driven top line for a lot of great restaurants, and it's a great level of convenience for folks.
So you touched upon that it's a hard business, and you described it like there's the macro, like the inflationary pressures, supply chain pressures, there's the consumer demands, like just all the multi-channels you're having to service people, and servicing your customers across all these different channels, all these platforms you have to win in, all the different entrepreneurs you work with. You're across the country in Canada with so many different markets. That sounds really hard. So how has that affected your leadership style? So how has it evolved during your tenure as CEO? And how do you respond to challenges? And I'm going to be taking notes on this one because I'm in media. So how do you respond to
Okay.
challenges
Well, I'm not going to tell you
in
all
your
my
work?
secrets, Jason. Well, one is it. Look, this is nothing new, but the ability to bring a talented, diverse, talented people together. Uh, I think that's the biggest thing of what we've done at Redberry and other companies are doing. The need to bring in people from all walks of life that represent our workforce, that represent our guests, and represent all the different disciplines that we have to be good at, right? From skills in HR to construction to real estate to operations to marketing. We have really built our bench with, I think, I'm biased a little bit, but really leading executives and managers that cover the full gamut of running restaurants. So that's an advantage for Team Redberry. We as a restaurant company, I think we probably are Canada's largest franchisee. We have 5,000 people that work for our company, almost coast to coast. We have hundreds of restaurants, and we're building, 50 to 60 restaurants a year. So we have the scale and the ability to bring on really talented people. So if we see a gap, we fill it by hiring talent from, again, all aspects of restaurateuring. From a leadership perspective, what I've tried to learn faster and to be better at, if I look at the leadership mirror, is just transparency and communication. Our teams wanting to understand where we're going, why we're going there, what does it mean for me, right? I grew up when business plans and strategic plans were big secret binders that went on a shelf, and maybe only senior executives read them. Maybe they were shared at various town hall meetings. Now we share everything. We talk about probably what would have been super secret 20 years ago. We want our people to understand our vision, where the company is going. We're not splitting atoms here, so I think there's nothing too top secret. But I think it's great where people get excited, right? And in a world that is a little topsy-turvy these days, a little unsettling, people want stability. They want to know where they're going, and we've gotten very good at being open, transparent, and talking a lot about where we're going, and talented people like that.
So I love that. Like, as publisher, I try to be as mysterious as possible. It's like you don't even know there's a binder. So keeping your leadership hat on though, restaurants are everywhere. They're all over the world. They're in like the middle of nowhere, right up to major markets. From an economic standpoint, do you think that restaurants, particularly QSR, do you think they're good businesses today? Why or why not? And then my second question to that is, again, keeping on your CEO hat, what do you look for? There's profitability, there's sustainability, but what are some signals you look for to go, yeah, my business is on the right track?
There's very limited barriers to entry into opening a restaurant, and probably one of the downsides of everyone thinks they have a great recipe. Someone tells you at a barbecue, I love your ribs, so let me open a rib restaurant. We've all gone to stores that,
I
man, the
almost did
food's
that.
and that's one of the beauties of restaurants is people bringing their passion to the world, right? But there's scale. There are certain elements of the boring stuff that the economic model, there's a lot of things that we know. You know what your food cost is going to be, and your labor cost, and your rent, and your capital. So there's elements of volumes. You need a certain sales volume just to pay the rent, pay your staff, and have a little something left over for you. It's very capital intensive. No restaurants you could open cheaply. They're all cost a lot of money. So the science behind great restaurants are very profitable relationships on capital in, top line sales, and your operating profit. Not magic for anyone in business, but these are the KPIs that matter the most. And I unfortunately, some people don't get that, and they want to bring a food idea to the table, excuse the pun, but they don't have the economics to support it. So at Redberry, we're really good at finding great models. Some of the best brands in the world, the best brands in Canada for restaurants and QSR, have a great product that people love. And look, it's no secret, they make a lot of money. And so they should, because you want to reinvest profits into your people. You want to hire the best manager. You want to get the best site and pay the fair rent for that best site. You want to build a beautiful looking store. You want to maintain it. You want to renovate it every couple of years. You need money left over for marketing and all the other elements of operations. So it's really the economics and the science behind it really separate the winners from the folks that may have a great idea, but it's just not profitable.
Right. And so you're just describing there's this core operating kind of philosophy that sort of underpins just your scale, the way that you sort of operate your restaurants. You know, with QSR though, like you talked about sort of the volatility of the world. Like it feels kind of weirdly topsy-turvy. So the next 5 years, who knows what they're going to look like?
Mm.
But where are the opportunities? Like what opportunities do you see in QSR? What are the challenges in the industry? And then the second part of that question is, how do you plan to innovate? How do you plan to stay ahead? And how do you plan to continue to win in Canada?
Mm. Yep. Lots to unpack there. So I'll start with opportunities. People, one of your original questions, or one of the outcomes of the pandemic, people are pickier now. The bar has risen in terms of people's expectation. One of those reasons is because they are spending more money out of home, and so they're more, and because they're frequenting probably more restaurants than they ever have, they have lots of comparables, and they know what they like, what they don't like. People between sharing experiences and the importance of just doing really well in the online world with reviews, people just they want more. So the ability of a defendable culinary proposition, right? That sounds like an MBA, but there's so if you're going to be providing a submarine sandwich like we do at Jersey Mike's, or a Whopper at Burger King, or a double crunch wrap at Taco Bell, it needs to be really good, but also be a little bit different that it stands out. And I think so. The opportunity in QSR is how do I in the sea of sameness some days, because there's no shortage of sandwiches in Canada. There's no shortage of burgers, and there's no shortage of Mexican or tacos. It is a concept that really connects with the consumer, not only on the culinary level, but with the experience, how you show up online, how you show up with the connection of the guest, what you stand for, and how it's delivered. That's the hard part. because there's thousands of everything. So the opportunity is they're there, but you got to find a why that's going to be a breakthrough concept, something that we're always looking for. We would love in the future to have. Right now, we have 3 world-class brands. We'd like to have 4 or 5 in our future to keep the next waves of growth going for our team here at Redberry. We want to find a defendable proposition, and that stands out. And so you look for the restaurant chain that had 20 restaurants 10 years ago, and they now have 500. Okay, so they're probably winning, and let's talk with those folks. So that's the opportunity, is to find the winners out of, unfortunately, maybe a sea of sameness in some of the concepts in QSR, but they'll be winners, and we'll find them.
So this is I'm looking for some breaking news. Are you announcing a new restaurant chain that you're going to be taking to market?
Oh, no, not today. Look, we have I think we're going to be building about 500 new restaurants in the next 10 years with our current portfolio, hiring another 10,000 people, and we'll be patient. Right. I mean, we love Burger King, and we love Taco Bell, one of the world's most creative brands, and Jersey Mike's is fabulous people and a fabulous product. Yeah. As I said before, we want to seek out category dominant players, people that are making a difference, not only in the food space, but also in the communities they serve, and have a higher calling, and that are going to be really big. Right. Yes. So. That list is not long, yeah, but we'll be patient to find it. I'll make sure I'll make sure I let you know when
because I really want to know, because like that. So one thing, another question I have about, it's tied to the innovation piece, but because you're operating in Canada, it's like Charlottetown is so different than Toronto, is so different than Regina, so different than Victoria. You have core products, like you have like the Whopper. The Whopper can exist probably anywhere, but like how do you navigate how different Canada is, like in terms of the different locations and different cities, the diversity of our population? Like, how do you win from place to place?
I think it's really thinking locally, and it's your people, right? I mean, what we like about, you get back to category dominant, and you get back to the brands that we celebrate. We've picked them because we know they're going to work. From St. John's, Newfoundland to Nanaimo, British Columbia, and every great community in between. And you're right, Jason, they're all different. But our ability to get involved in the community with our people, with our charities, every one of our concepts has a foundation and a charity that we support. It's about, yes, we have scale. We're arguably a pretty big company, but we act really locally when we come into town. And we celebrate hiring great people. We celebrate local leadership. We celebrate local contractors where we build, and we celebrate giving back to the community. So I think that's kind of where you fit. And look, great brands that have done really well in Canada, they do that, right? They're big, but they act quite locally, and they're good at it. So that's how we bridge that gap.
Yeah, and I love that. Like, sort of big, huge global brands are really good at winning locally. I'm just noticing, like, just in terms of the way I was in this, like, I was auditing this EMBA class, and it was so funny because they were like talking about QSR, and one of the ways you're able to win in the Philippines, if you're a McDonald's, is to serve spaghetti, because like we love the Filipino spaghetti. Just serve spaghetti, and it's like, oh my god! I'm literally like, I love McDonald's.
One day you'll tell me the connection between the Philippines and spaghetti.
It's like a Filipino. It's a sweet tomato sauce spaghetti. So to close everything, so I love talking to CEOs. I mainly because of the fact that your view of the business, it's 30,000 feet in the air, and it's hyper local. I envision you like in Nanaimo with your hard hat on at like one of your locations, getting it built there. So my last question is two-pronged. Like, what are your personal goals? Like, obviously you're already a CEO, but what are your personal goals moving forward, and what are your aspirations for the company moving forward? And then the second part of my question is, how do you balance life? Like, how do you balance your professional responsibilities, your personal interests, your family life, et cetera?
Great. Thank you. The first one is very ambitious. And if anyone listens to this and they may ask, you're not there yet, because I'm not here yet, is I would love to, one of the legacies at Redberry and myself is changing the viewpoint of people in QSR. This idea of you're a burger flipper or we're an entry level, and I hate when people say this, low skilled labor. It could not be farther from the truth. The ability to work in a restaurant, deal with customers, guests, brand standards, fast-paced environment. Every day is a new day. No day is the same. Food safety, working as a team. These are incredible skills, deep skills that people need to be successful. We are often a person's first job. So not only are we teaching you the skills of making a taco, we're teaching you life skills of showing up on time and wearing a uniform and working as a team. And it may sound like I'm complaining, and I need to turn it into an opportunity, because this is my goal. It's very underappreciated. I think there's a lot of talented people that we would love to come work in restaurants. As a restaurant manager, you are leading a large, diverse team. You own and operate an asset. You're running a profit and loss statement. You're managing capital. You're planning and involved in your community. Wow, like how many jobs could offer a young person that many different skills in four walls? I can't think of many. So I'd love to change it, and I think at Redberry we're trying to. Right, we're trying to, get people that have a higher calling, that are ambitious and want to grow, and then by way of growth, we offer those opportunities to a bunch of people because of all the restaurants we're building. But I want to change the industry. I just the QSR in general. It's highly skilled. It's fun. It's exciting. It's dynamic. You could be anything you want 10 years from now, and we just like, hey, I think we get a bad rap, so I want to change that. I really want to change that legacy and create that environment to do that. No, on a personal level, I think someone taught me it's not about work-life balance, it's work-life integration. Every job is hard. I don't care if you're a CEO or you're learning to make a number 17 at Jersey Mike's. It is you have to integrate your life into that. And so I have my wonderful wife, Julie, and two great sons, Alex and Jack, a couple of dogs. We just integrate our lives. We talk a lot about our business. It's fun, right? As I share the vision and hope for the people of Redberry in the future, I get to share my stories and accomplishments and challenges with my family. So again, that might be a little bit different than, right, my 30, 40 years ago, where you kind of came home and didn't talk about it. Well, now you do. I think it's really being open and honest with each other, and really, why not share the journey? Because it's fun, it's exciting. And I think if you could bring your family in to participate in that journey and they see you and hear you, that's where you make it happen.
Wow. And it's so funny, like, even what you're describing, like one of my first jobs, like growing up, was in a restaurant, and I cooked. And like before that job, I was in the wilderness a bit. And then going in and working that job, the speed at which I was able to just sort of like really understand the system, understand how this servicing customers, being really disciplined, showing up on time, working really hard too. The halo effect that had on my life was just huge. So I'm aligned. I love the vision.
Yeah.
I support you 100% on that front.
Fantastic. Yeah,
But,
no, we're hiring.
I gotta say, like, and also I love when when being CEO versus sort of when I was cooking in a restaurant, like being CEOs, pretty hard. So I love how modest you were
It's a
there.
fun business, right? When you're well, I've been in the business my whole life. I don't know anything else, but food is a lot of fun, right?
Yes,
So creative, so many passionate people. I love it.
it's amazing. Well, Ken, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. I just love deep diving. I love deep diving businesses like this. And man, good luck. That the scale in which you're going to be sort of going on in that is huge. So
Big,
obviously, best of luck on that work. And thank you again for taking the time and for sharing your insights with us today.
right? Thank you very much. Great chatting with you. Have a great day.
Awesome. Bye, Ken.